Use it or lose it. How my new campaign can help you either save money or make money. We'll talk about that on this episode. You're listening to Upcycling with Deb. This is a Little Debbie, a bite-sized version of the full podcast, Upcycling with Deb. I'm Deb Colameta. I wrote a #1 best-selling book called Best Offer, Best Life, and it teaches you how to leverage online yard sales to get the wealth that you want in your life. I have a brand new downloadable. If you head to my website, thedebsite.com, you can grab that for free. If you follow me on social media at Deb Colameta, you know that I've been actively promoting a campaign called Use It or Lose It. I created this campaign because I was going through my house over the winter and looking at some of the things that we still had in our space and weren't using. Now, me, the queen of reselling and decluttering and trying to get stuff out of my house, I still had items that were in my space that we weren't using. And some of the things, it's okay. Like if you have a vase or a piece of artwork that you like to look at and it makes you happy, that's totally fine. But there are other things that I have in my space that I really have no excuse for. Like, for example, the cake decorating kit that I bought 11 years ago. I don't know why. I thought that I was going to become a cake decorator. I always wanted to learn how to make those frosting roses. I did learn how. I can make one now. Plenty of YouTube videos can show you how to do it. But I checked that off my list. And as soon as I learned how, I put the cake decorating kit on a shelf in my basement and pretty much never opened it. One of the reasons why I bought the cake decorating kit was because I thought I was going to save all this money by making my own cakes for birthdays and other celebrations. But when you're a parent, you realize that sometimes you don't have time for that. You're trying to prepare for the event itself. And sometimes the last thing you have time for is to stop and make a cake, wait for it to cool and decorate it. Sometimes it's just easier to go to a local bakery and let the professionals do their thing. After it had been sitting there for a long time, I looked at it and I thought, gee, my daughter really enjoys baking. So even if we don't bake a lot, maybe I could pull this out. And the next time we do make cupcakes, instead of just slapping on some canned frosting, I can make some buttercream frosting for her and she could use some of these tools. So that's what we did. We decided to bake a few items and she was delighted that I gave her free reign of my professional level cake decorating kit. That's an example of use it or lose it. If it sits there and you've got it in your space and you're like, I'm going to use this week, and then it gets pushed to the next week and the next week, be honest, be authentic. If you're not really using it, it's time to lose it. You can post it online for sale. You can donate it. You can free cycle it among your friends, but get it out of your space if you really aren't using it. There's other things like this that I've posted about, like my Lenox china. I love my Lenox china. I've been known to break out Lenox china when we have pizza with friends, or if I made a special meal, I'll definitely be using my Lenox china. We try to use a piece of it almost every day. We've got it. Why not try to use it? But I went through a couple of years really where I didn't use it as frequently. And I got back into it because, again, I was trying to use it or lose it. And I thought it's just too pretty to be sitting in a cabinet. We really should bring this into rotation. What's the worst that could happen? We keep using the same 4 or 5 plates, and bowls over and over, and they get worn out. Who cares? We're never going to have 12 people over for a dinner party and go through the whole stack and ruin the whole stack for some reason. What am I afraid of? Why don't I use this? And if I did have 12 people over for a dinner party, which I have certainly done, I don't actually use my china because it's too much work to clean up the dishes. I use paper plates. This is an example of use it or lose it. My treadmill, we had been pushing that darn thing around the basement in different areas as we cleaned up different areas of the space. I had exercise equipment, I had dumbbells, and I thought people in the pandemic are clamoring over these things. So unless I start using them, I need to post them online. So guess what? I said, I could trim down a little bit, get back to my fighting weight. So I started to use them, and I opted to use it instead of losing it. Treadmill, the weights, why let it sit there and collect dust if it's something that can help you take control of your life and feel better? I was looking for a bracelet bowl. I've these amazing stone bracelets that have different gems like amethyst or quartz and beautiful stones that have different healing properties. And I enjoy wearing them. And my daughter enjoys wearing them too sometimes. And I just have them in a pile on my bureau. I was looking for a pretty bowl to display them in, and I was looking online. I had gone to a few different places in person, and in my travels, I figured I'd pick something up. But then I realized when I was going through my Lenox china cabinet that I had a beautiful crystal bowl that I never really had used for any purpose. So I took that out of the cabinet and I put my beautiful bracelets in a beautiful crystal bowl. We save things for later, and then we forget that we had them in the first place, and we replace them with cheaper versions. Well, what's the big deal? If the crystal bowl somehow gets damaged or broken, I'm no better or worse off than I was before when it was hiding in a cabinet. So again, that's another example. The crystal bowl, I said, use it or lose it. Do you have any beautiful bowls that you got from your wedding shower, or china, or a vase that can be repurposed to hold makeup brushes or pencils? Repurpose it, display it. Don't hide it in storage. Don't hide it in boxes. Use it or lose it. Don't worry, you'll break it out. The motto for this year is use it or lose it. The reverse is also a powerful statement. Lose it, or why not start using it? The books you want to read that you had in a stack for a while, just start reading them. The bone china that you ignore, the toys that aren't played with, use it or lose it. We also had a timer that was just kind of sitting in my basement. I got a new stove. It had a lovely, easy to use timer built in. I decided to start using that when I was cooking. And this other timer, battery powered, was sitting in our basement. I was in a toy store a couple of months ago and I saw a book timer, and it was about $15. And I thought, oh, this would be great. This will get my kids to read. This is what I need for pandemic. They'll read 12 minutes every day, and that'll be great, and this will be a good thing. And then I stopped myself and I remembered, I have a kitchen timer that is sitting in the basement. Why can't I just repurpose that? And if I am going to buy this book timer, then I better post that kitchen timer for sale or give it away or donate it, and not let it sit in my basement, because having two timers that go unused in my house is really inexcusable. So again, another example of trying to use and repurpose what you already have. Do you have any fancy dress clothes that your kids could be using as art smocks or dress up clothes? Trying to repurpose in that way. Enjoy it, use it. You bought it, use it or lose it. Thanks for listening to this episode of Little Debbie, a bite-sized version of the podcast Upcycling with Deb. I'm your host, Deb Colameta. You can reach me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Deb Colameta. I hope you'll get your free downloadable guide on my website, thedebsite.com.